One winter's day, James the Red Engine was racing along the line. His red coat glistened in the sun as he chuffed along the rails with the coaches clattering behind him, filled with happy carolers. He was just approaching a red signal when... Whoa! What was that? James grinded to a halt. His crew looked him all over to see what was the problem. Something's broken inside you, James. We shall have to call for help. So the fireman ran to the signal box to call for help. Soon, Thomas arrived. "Oh dear, James," sighed Thomas. "What's happened?" James explained to Thomas what had happened. Thomas wanted to help in any way he could. "What can I do to help, James?" he puffed. "Could you take the carolers to the Christmas concert? Please, it's a very important job." Thomas beamed from buffer to buffer. "Of course, James." "They need to get there before the concert begins," he continued. "Can you promise me you'll get there as quickly as you can?" "I promise, James." Soon, Thomas was coupled up to the coaches and he puffed quickly away. "Thank you, Thomas," whistled James. Thomas raced along the line. He was determined to get the carolers to the concert on time. "I must get there, I must," he wished. He was so busy thinking about getting to the concert on time that he wasn't looking where he was going. Whoa! Thomas had hit into a set of buffers and had come off the track. "Cinders and ashes," he cried. "Now I'm really going to be late." His driver ran as quickly as he could to telephone for Harvey. Thomas sat in the snow. He felt he had let James down. Soon, Harvey arrived with the breakdown crane and put Thomas back onto the tracks. "There you go, Thomas." "Thank you, Harvey," he puffed. Then he looked up at the church close to the line and saw the time. "The carolers!" Thomas wished. He coupled up to the coaches and raced away. Thomas frantically puffed along the line. The concert was going to start soon, and Thomas didn't want to be late. "Must look at the track, must look at the track," he puffed. He didn't want to crash into another set of buffers again. As Thomas was getting closer to the concert, he rounded a bend and saw Oliver. "Something must be wrong," he puffed. Thomas screeched to a stop. "Hello, Oliver. What are you doing out here?" "I've run out of coal," he puffed. "I have to get this piano to the concert, or there'll be no music for the carolers to sing along to. Could you help me?" Thomas knew that he had promised James that he would get the carolers to the concert early, but he also knew that helping his friend Oliver would also be really useful. "Of course I'll help you," he whistled. "I can take the piano and push you to the concert too." Oliver was very happy. "Oh, thank you, Thomas." Meanwhile, Sir Topham Hatt was waiting for the carolers. He looked at his watch. "If the carolers aren't here soon, I shall have to cancel." Then he heard a whistle. It was Thomas. He came to a stop and gave a massive sigh of relief. "We're here," he peeped. The carolers ran out of the carriages like angry bees. Sir Topham Hatt walked over to Thomas. He was not happy. "Thomas, why have you brought the carolers? And why have they only just arrived?" Thomas was about to reply when Oliver spoke up. "Please, sir," he chuffed, "don't tell Thomas off. He would have been here earlier, but he stopped to help me bring the piano to the concert." Sir Topham Hatt was surprised. "Well, I must say, Tomas, I'm very sorry for shouting at you. Once again, you have proven to be a really useful engine." Thomas beamed. "Thank you, sir." So, Thomas and Oliver listened from outside as the carolers sang and people clapped and cheered. Just then, James puffed up. "James, you're all fixed." "Yes, I am," he beamed. "I feel as good as new. Thank you for taking the carolers for me, Thomas. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't have come to my rescue." Thomas smiled. "Like I said, James, I promised, and a promise is a promise, no matter what." James smiled in agreement. "Merry Christmas, James. Merry Christmas, Oliver. Merry Christmas, everyone." Thomas and James whistled happily into the night as the Christmas concert came to a close. Percy is a very hard-working engine, albeit a very cheeky one as well. One morning, however, he was very cheeky indeed. "Beep beep, hurry up, Henry, your next train's ready." Henry thought he was late. "What? Oh dear, I must hurry." "Ha ha ha ha," laughed Percy and showed him a train of dirty coal trucks. Henry thought about how he could pay Percy back for teasing him. Next, it was James's turn. "Stay in the shed today, James. Topham Hatt wants to come and see you." "Ah," thought James. "Sir Topham Hatt knows I'm a fine engine. He wants me to pull a special train." James was so hesitant in not leaving the shed that the other engines had to do James's work as well as their own. At last the inspector arrived. "Show a wheel, James." "I can't, sir. Sir Topham Hatt told me to stay here. He sent a message this morning." "He did not. How could he? He's away on holiday for a week." "Oh," said James. "Oh, where's Percy?" James fumed away to find Percy. When Sir Topham Hatt came back from his holiday, he was most annoyed with James and Percy for causing so much trouble. But the very next day, Percy was still being cheeky. Gordon had heard what he had done to James and Henry, and came up with a plan. "I say, you engines, I'm to take some trucks to the junction this afternoon. Sir Topham Hatt chose me especially. He must know I'm a really useful engine." "More likely he wants you out of the way," grumbled James. Gordon looked across to James. They were going to play a trick on Percy. "James and I were just speaking about signals at the junction. We can't be too careful about signals, you see. But then I needn't say that to a really useful engine like you, Percy." Percy felt flattered. "Well, I say, Gordon, I am very useful. It's about time you engines understood how important I was." "We were just talking about backing signals," interrupted James. "They need extra special care, you know. Would you like me to explain?" "No, thank you, James," said Percy. "I know all about signals." I wonder what backing signals are, he thought. Never mind, I'll manage them. Nothing ever would go wrong for a really useful engine such as myself. He puffed to his trucks. He rounded a bend and came to a stop at a signal. Bother! It's a danger! The signal moved to show line cleared. Its arm moved up instead of down. Percy had never seen that sort of signal before. Down means go and up means stop. So upper still must mean go back. I know, it's one of those backing signals James was talking about. Come on, Percy, said his driver. Stop! You're going the wrong way! But it's a backing signal, Percy protested and told him about James and Gordon. The driver laughed and explained. Oh dear, said Percy. Let's start quickly before anyone sees... But he was too late. Henry saw everything and just laughed. Once Henry had passed, Percy set off. That night, the big engines talked about signals. They thought the subject was funny. Percy, meanwhile, thought the bigger engines were being very silly indeed.
Dear Harriet, I often get letters from curious children, like yourselves, as to why Henry had gained different buffers later on in my stories of the engines of Sodor. After a trip to the island, and having spoken to Henry and his crew, they have given me special permission to tell you about his recent buffer problem. I hope this will help clear up any misconfusion. The author.
Henry the Green Engine was very happy. After being let out of the tunnel and receiving a lovely coat of blue paint, the Fat Director had allowed Henry to pull secondary mainline trains again. He was delighted.
Come along, come along!
Slow down, Henry,
he cried as they suddenly lurched into a siding. His driver applied the brakes, but it was too late. Luckily, no one was hurt, but poor Henry's front was badly damaged. The driver ran out of the cab and went to find the nearest telephone to call for help. It wasn't long till Edward arrived with the breakdown train, and a very displeased Fat Director.
I thought this new paint would have taught you how to be a proper engine.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
It's off to the works with you then, Henry, I'm afraid. We can't have you looking like that in front of the passengers. I shall have to arrange another engine to do your work whilst you're away.
And the Fat Director walked away. Once Henry was lifted back onto dry rails, Edward pushed him to the works. When Henry arrived at the works, the men started to fix his front straight away. Some of the workers were just about to find a new pair of buffers when they were called over by the manager. They both exchanged animated gestures. Henry was worried.
Is something the matter?
I'm afraid so. We don't have any round buffers that would fit you. But we do have a spare set of Gordons that could suffice, if you want them instead.
Henry was excited.
Oh, I've never had square buffers before.
He couldn't wait to gloat to the other engines.
Who does that Henry think he is?
Gordon had heard about Henry's new buffers and was none too pleased about it.
He doesn't even do any form of work that is meaningful. I pull the express, the most important train on the whole island. Henry's work, meanwhile, is insignificant, yet he gets a new pair of buffers.
Gordon, they're just buffers.
That may be, Edward, but when they are square like mine, I ask you, is it right? Is it decent?
Hey, you never know, Gordon. One day, Henry might be the new express engine.
Oh, don't be so preposterous, Walter. The fat director will never change out his best engine with the best job on the island.
That may be, Gordon, but you and Henry do look very similar. I wouldn't be surprised if the fat director mistakes you for Henry at times.
The difference between me and Henry, young Walter,
Is that I pull the most premium type of trains. Henry, meanwhile, is scuttled to the front of goods trains. You'd never catch me pulling dirty goods, let me tell you.
Oh, I see. Well, in that case, I guess local trains are counted as premium too then, Gordon.
Local trains, how dare you!
All right, you two, stop this silly bickering and let's get some sleep. Some of us have a very busy day tomorrow.
Humph.
A few days later, Henry was soon back pulling passengers. He couldn't stop showing off his new buffers to everyone he met on his journeys.
Buffers!
He would chant whilst chortling down the line. He was very happy. One day, Henry puffed into the big station. Some people were on the platform waiting for their train. Henry, however, thought that they had come to the station just to admire his new buffers.
Buffers! Buffers! Oh! Oh dear! My new beautiful buffers!
The fat director was cross with Henry and had sent him to the works to get a new pair of buffers fitted to his front at once.
That was the last set of square buffers, I'm afraid. Next shipment's months away from Rovesey. You'll have to go back to your old ones.
Henry's heart sank.
No square buffers? Oh dear. Oh dear.
Cheer up, Henry. I've noticed that your paint has started getting rather dirty. So, to make up for this whole buffer fiasco, would you like a nice coat of green paint? Then maybe the little boys won't mistake you for Gordon anymore.
Oh, sir! Do you really mean it?
Yes, Henry. You are one of my engines. A hard-working one for that matter.
Oh, thank you, sir!
And as they say, the rest is history.
The dockyard is usually a happy place to be. That is, unless you're Cranky the Crane. Cranky was feeling miserable and careless. Look out! Whoa there, shipmate! What's up with you? Sir Topham said that he was bringing a new crane to the docks. I'm worried that he's going to replace me. Replace you, matey? You've been on this island for a very long time. Sir Topham would never get rid of you. You may make mistakes, but so does everyone. It doesn't make you less useful than any other crane on this island. And you can also lift many things other cranes can't, Cranky. Like engines, machinery, even jet engines. As long as I keep my hook away from its controls. Thank you all. Now let's get back to work. That'll show the Fat Controller how useful I am. Of course. Can't have you lying about all day now, can we, Cranky? Huh, silly engine. Hey, what? Ah! Shiver me timbers! What was that? There, coming to a stop, was a yellow crane that none of the engines had seen before. Ahoy there, matey! What's your name?
My name's Carly. I'm the new dockyard crane.
Nice to have you as a part of our team, Carly. Wait, so you're the new crane?
Yep. Nice to meet you, Cranky.
Huh? For you, I was so worried that you would be as big as me. But I'd never be replaced by someone as small as you. That's no way to talk, matey. It's not about the size of an engine. It's about what you can do that counts. Yeah. Huh. Now, if you excuse me, I have big crates to move. Don't fret about Cranky, matey. He may seem mean, but he means well. He wasn't very keen about any of us at first, but he'll warm up to you in no time. Even if he won't admit it.
I hope you're right.
I have some trucks that need shunting at the other side of the dock if you want to come help me.
Really? I'd love to.
Cranky, we need this shipment loaded as soon as possible. All right. Honestly, all this lifting and loading puts me in such a flurry. Throughout the day, Carly would try to help.
Need any help, Cranky?
But Cranky just said, "No thanks, small fry." Resting after a busy day, Carly?
Busy? I wish. Cranky hasn't let me do anything all day. I must be useless.
Useless? Edward would never have got that train to the mainland without your help. You're very useful. I tell you what, we've got a big order coming in from the mainland, and your hook will most definitely come in handy. This made Carly feel a little better.
Thank you, Porter.
No problem. In the meantime, can you unload these vans for me?
Of course. Crane coming through.
Soon the dockyard had become so crowded that Cranky couldn't load or unload anything. Oh! This dockyard is such a mess! Arg! You should have listened to us, me hearty. Now we're like peas in a frying pan. What are we gonna do? Aha! That's it! Carly! We need your help! Can you sort out these trains so that they're all organised? Huh! We don't need help from that small crane. I can handle this all by myself. But this time, Carly was firm.
No, Cranky, you need help. Stop pushing me out of the way and let me show you how useful I can be.
Soon the dockyard was all cleaned up. Cranky was surprised. Hooray! Thank you, me hearty. You are a really useful crane. Carly smiled, but Cranky felt ashamed. Carly?
Yes, Cranky?
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have teased you. I was just too relieved that you weren't a bigger crane to replace me. There are times that even us big cranes can feel small.
You don't look small to me.
It wouldn't matter anyway. Look at all the great work that you did today. Thank you, Carly. I couldn't say it any better myself. Sir Topham Hatt had arrived for a meeting with the dock manager. Carly, I am very pleased with you and your work ethic. Because of that, I have a reward for you.
A reward?
Oh yes. I would like you to work in the yards at Knapford Station. We could do with a useful crane like you as soon as possible. And Sir Topham Hatt walked away. Carly was very excited. But Carly was going to miss her new friend. Good luck, Carly. You'll do good there. I hope you come to visit me soon.
Thank you, Cranky. Of course I will.
And with that, she honked her horn and started making her way to Knapford Yards, ready for a new adventure.